Welcome back to Clinched Up with me, Jesse Diaz. This is an American Muay Thai podcast to promote the fighters of America that fight Muay Thai, the promotions, anything American Muay Thai related. I want to promote, right? And you're gonna get that every Monday. And roughly, I'll post them. I'll try to have them out like at least by 6 p.m. at night. And you guys, the reason why I'm doing this is not for fame. It's not for money. It's because I love Muay Thai. Muay Thai has brought me a way better life than I can imagine. And I'm an amateur fighter and assistant coach at Strike Fitness here in Los Banos, California. And I never imagined I'd be doing all that I'm doing. And a lot of the good stuff that's in my life right now, it's because of Muay Thai. So I want to give back. I want to promote those fighters that a lot of the casual fight fans don't really know about. You know, Muay Thai is a special sport. It's traditional and it's an awesome sport, right? And it's growing in America. It's the number one podcaster in the world. Joe Rogan always talks about Muay Thai and how why don't we get bigger? Why doesn't it get bigger in America? And partly it's because to blame it's the Muay Thai community, right? And I don't want to say the fighters or the promotion. It's the people that love Muay Thai. Like, it's our job to grow this. And that's why I'm not a professional fighter. I'm not a promoter. Like, these people are, the fighters and the promoters are putting it all on the line to give us this Muay Thai that we love. It's our job to help promote it, to talk about it, to grow it, right? As fans, it's as not community, as fans, it is our job to grow it if we love it, right? And I'm just a fan of it, to be honest. So I think it's not because Americans don't like stand-up Muay Thai, that they don't like watching it. No, it's just we have to pump it out there, slowly but surely, every week, every day, every month, whatever. Just keep on spreading the word, because I mean it's changed. It's changed me, who lives in Central Valley, California, who was working at FedEx, not really doing anything with my life, and then I find a really good coach here in Los Banos, a small farm town, and she just starts taking me on this journey, and so far it's changed my life. Like, if it could change my life, it could change so many other people in the United States. So the goal is just to promote Muay Thai, guys. And I don't know, but yeah. Besides that, that's the reason why I'm doing it. But today we got Stephanie Frausto, WBC Muay Thai champion. You guys, women's Muay Thai, she's brought up, right? She's
Introducing Stephanie Frausto.
One of the best and one of the nicest people. Just humble. One of the most humble people I've ever met. And then we have Kendra Mcintyre, who just recently she just announced on the podcast that she signed with Lion Fight.
Controlling the clinch there.
Oh! High kick puts her out. Oh! Out cold.
That's the fight.
Out cold with the high kick.
No, people are on their feet. No one saw that head kick coming. Not even Kendra herself.
Right, and then we have Caia Knowles, who I had the chance to watch at the TBA tournament in Iowa. She was a beast. You want to talk about that short, stocky fighter that's gonna come forward and wreck girls? That's her. And I was impressed because not only did she didn't come bum rushing in with her head down, she kept her distance, picking her shots, just coming forward, put the pressure on, and she's a monster. So it was cool to see. So I if you guys listened to last week's, I interviewed Jason Park, and he talks about boxing works, and then so I was at TBA's, And then I seen the uniform. I want to say jerseys, right? What do you? These uniforms that people are coming out with are starting to look like jerseys, right? Like it's getting better. The uniforms are getting better. And I think that the more I open my world, the world of Muay Thai, the more it opens up to me, the more cool stuff I see. But the uniforms, Boxing Works uniforms, I started seeing the name, and so I sat down, and me, coach, and the cut man Ben, we all watched her fight, and I was impressed. So getting into Muay Thai news. You guys, getting into Muay Thai news. We don't have that much going on, right, in here in America, but there is 2 fight cards this month. We have Lion Fight 67 in Italy. In Italy, there's 2 Americans on the main card, and the main event is 2 Italians. Oh, no, not 2 Italians. I don't know what that flag is. Horrible, Jesse. Come on. I need to go back to school for geography. But Enrico Corrada versus Patrick Vidakovics. It's for the light heavyweight title, the Lion Fight World Light Heavyweight title at 175. And then you got 2 Americans. You have Andy Nguyen, who, if you guys don't remember, I think it was on Lion Fight. What I remember her from is she's a vet, right? What I remember her from was taking the Muay Thai fight for Lion Fight, and she got kicked in the arm, and she broke her arm. And I just remember it going like, it was like, you kind of knew that it was broken because it just goes limp. Boom. Right when it got hit, it just went limp. And I'll put the video right here. Now, but it's just, that's what I remember her from. Recent stuff. And then you have Chip Pollard. And so those are the 2 American fighting. So Chip Pollard, so Andy Nguyen's fighting Sonia Din, and then Chip Pollard's fighting Jacob Boninko. And so that's the Lion Fight, and I'll end up breaking it down when it gets closer, right? Probably the week of, and we'll try to get some guests on that are on that card. That'd be pretty cool. And then we have, so far with the Triumphant 12, I haven't seen any news about it, but it's still Eddie Abasolo versus Alex Bublé. And that one is in Mexico, August 7th, not in July. So the first week of August, I'll have a breakdown of that too when it gets closer. Hopefully I could, maybe I'll hit up Eddie to see if he wants to do it or not. And but other than that, there's not that much news. I mean, I'm looking, guys. And we're barely getting back to it, right? It was 4th of July over the weekend. Hope you guys had a good 4th of July. And you're starting to see things open up. That means fight cards. That means just stuff in general. Like we, as a team, Strike, my gym, we went out to eat, and that was fun. We're just going to be planning different stuff. I mean, we haven't went out since, I don't know if other gyms are dealing with this or not dealing with it. It's a good thing. But before the pandemic, used to hang out as a gym all the time. And then during the pandemic, we've grown. We've gotten new members and a bunch of new members. So we've never hung out with them. And then finally, we're opening back up, and we have a whole community that's just eager to go hang out. And we finally went out, and it's kind of cool, right? It's a cool experience. And now they get to experience going to PKBs, going to fights, and every weekend doing something. You know, for living in Los Baños, a small town that I live in, having to do something every weekend, that's an amazing feeling because you don't have. It's not we don't live in the Bay Area. We don't live in a big city. We always have to drive somewhere. So if we have people to hang out with in Los Baños and stay here over the weekend, it feels better, right? And then we have but that's not that much news. But you guys, these are going to come out every Monday. The guest today, it's going to go Stephanie, it's going to go Kendra, and then it's going to go Caia. And we'll have them in order. And just let me know if you guys want anybody else on. Message me or send them my way. Also, you guys check out my buddy's brand, Adaptive Sessions. He's a kettlebell expert. He's basically a personal trainer. That he's a martial artist. Overall, just cool guy. He does everything. He's the Joe Rogan of San Jose, I call him. But he's always doing something. I think he's fully booked right now. But go give him a follow at Adaptive Sessions. His gear, if you guys ever want good working out gear, good shirts, or just good, nice gear, he comes out with some dope stuff. Well, yeah, other than that, my weekend, I guess I found a new hobby for Sundays, right? So I read a book about, I think I said it last week, I read a book about treasure hunting. I fell in love with it. So after my fight at the TBAs, I had a few days off, and all I was doing was watching YouTube about metal detecting and about magnet fishing. Yeah, I said magnet fishing. And I fell in love with metal detecting. So I got pretty cheap metal detectors for how much metal detectors cost. It's on the low end because I don't know if I'm going to really, really do this, right? So I bought one, got a shovel. That's probably the only other tool I got. And I went out to the park and I started just trying it out. Found a bunch of nails and found a bunch of just scrap metal, right? It's kind of stupid. I guess in my head, I was like, I'm going to find them at least a quarter the first day, right? I didn't. But next week, we're not going to go to the park. Me and my wife are probably going to go out to public land, meaning like the state park. Or there's a place called Panoche Hills down the street, maybe 30 minutes from Los Baños, and it's just public land, and it's just go see what's over there, try to find something. Or go to the reservoir that's next to us after 4th of July. It's awesome. But every Sunday I'm going to do that. Every Sunday I'm just going to go metal detect, get my mind off of stuff. And I think you need that if you're doing anything all week, the same thing all week. There needs to be a day when you just like unwind and not really think about it, right? Even though I still was, I'm still always thinking about podcasting and Muay Thai and stuff like that. But yeah. So I'll maybe I'll show my finds every Monday. Not that you guys want to see, but hopefully one day. Well, you guys know I'm going to announce it when I find a coin. So you guys, if you guys haven't subscribe. Give me a follow on Instagram, Jesse the Hassle Diaz. I do have another podcast called The Hassle of Hair. It's a podcast me and my wife host. We also interview inspirational people going after their dreams, going after their passions. And yeah, give a listen after this one. So you guys, Stephanie Frausto, Kendra Mcintyre, Caia Knowles, all three of them. Thank you guys for doing the interview. Thank you guys for listening. I love you. Have a great week. And remember, enjoy Muay Thai and promote it. If we all promote it together, we all win. I can't stress it enough. I love y'all. Peace. We have with us Stephanie Frausto, WBC Muay Thai champion. And because this is a Muay Thai show, she's also a MMA champion, but strictly Muay Thai, right? And
Yeah.
and she's also a black belt in BJJ. And one of my I haven't been able to talk to you when I go to the Resistance, but you're one of my favorite Muay Thai fighters that have transitioned to MMA because of your fighting style and how you didn't really take away from your Muay Thai when you jump into the cage. Your hands are up, you have a really good stance, and it's amazing to see. So my first question is your thoughts on MMA dropping your hands and having your hands up or having your hands down. what are the differences? Why would you drop your hands, and why do some fighters do that?
Dropping your hands in MMA is very dangerous because we're using smaller gloves. I feel like you can probably get away with it a little bit more in Muay Thai because you know you kind of have more vision that way. But I feel like keeping your hands up is very important. So even I'm still working on, getting that. And
Well,
I guess
all your fights, it's really like you have them almost like a Muay Thai stance. You have them here the whole entire fight. I love it. I like it. But and watching Triumphant 10 when Eddie Abasolo was on the fight card, you were hitting pads in the middle between fights, and it seemed like the pad holders didn't know kind of like who you were when they were holding pads for you. Did you get the sense for it? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Well, because they asked people in the audience like who wants to kick pads, and then my team started screaming my name. So it's like, oh, I guess.
Did they know you're a Muay Thai champion?
Well, some of the announcers knew, but like not all of them. So when I started kicking pads, like I guess it was Stephen Bonner was surprised, like I didn't know the fans could kick like that. And then I guess Brandon was like, no, she's a Muay Thai fighter, and then he's like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it was kind of funny to see like the reaction, especially from Stephen Bonner. It's like, no, she's a Muay Thai champion. She should know how to kick. Because of that, like how do as a community for Muay Thai, how do we grow the sport? Like how do you think how do we get Muay Thai to be promoted, right? As big as MMA and as other sports?
Well, I feel like they're doing a pretty good job right now and putting on big fights and big names, getting them to fight each other. But I feel like Muay Thai still has a lot of respect and I guess just the common person doesn't really understand that yet. So you have to be more knowledgeable in the sport and able to like really get into it. And MMA is more, I guess you could see like a fight on the street and people would think like, oh yeah, that's like MMA. It's more, I don't know, barbaric at some points, especially when you're lower level. People really like to see that, especially if they're not really educated in the art of fighting. Like what they're seeing, they miss a lot of the little things because they're not really looking for that. They just want to see blood. But in Muay Thai, you have to, it starts just at a slower pace and then it builds. But when people see the blood, which eventually happens because there are elbows and some pretty gnarly strikes, then that's when people start getting hyped. But it takes a little bit longer for the Muay Thai fight to build and go up.
Yeah, Triumphant, if you watch how Triumphant promotes their fights, they don't do it. I don't know if you've seen the BKFC, the bare knuckle fighting, and how they promote their fights is a little different from Triumphant, right? Triumphant sticks to the tradition of Muay Thai. That's why I love about their cards. Even Lion Fight, like it's all about tradition, and I think it would damage the sport if they took away from that. And I like that they're keeping to the tradition in the sport. And so going off of Muay Thai, you are a BJJ black belt. What do you like better? Do you like Muay Thai better? Do you like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu better? Like, what's your favorite sport?
Well, I started
Martial art.
in Muay Thai. Yeah. So I started in Muay Thai, but then like there wasn't any fights that I could take when I first started. Like, so I ended up taking the professional MMA fight, which I had no ground game, no jiu-jitsu. And so I lost my first fight with an arm bar. So I was like, I have to learn this stuff. And then it took me a while to get into it. Like, so jiu-jitsu took me a little bit longer to to actually start liking it. I think another reason is because, you know, my sister would always, she always hated jujitsu. Like she'd always talk trash, not talk trash, but, you know, be like, I hate jujitsu. Like, we're not going to go. And then I was like, well, I kind of like it. But, you know, back then when my sister wasn't doing something, it was hard for me to, you know, get the courage to do it by myself. Yeah. So it took me a while. And then I eventually started getting into jujitsu a little bit more when we moved to Ohio, and, you know, we started training jujitsu like nonstop. And then we moved back to California. It was hard to find, you know, a good jujitsu instructor, and it was kind of starting to get a little, I don't know, like I started getting kind of sad. Like I'm never going to find, you know, someone who can teach me jujitsu that like I'm excited to learn, until, you know, Darren came to the gym and started teaching our MMA practice. But when we had MMA instructors coming, and they were just teaching wrestling, and, you know, I had bad experiences with wrestling too. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep going to practice. And he started showing more jujitsu centric movements, and then I was starting to get excited again. So I feel like I'm trying to balance out Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu. So, but like right now, I feel like I'm more into the grappling aspect of fighting, and but also still trying to keep my stand-up sharp.
Keep it balanced. Keep it
balanced. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the journey of trying to find coaches and trying to find your environment that works for you, and being a younger sibling of a monster, of a older, like your sister's a monster. How is it being that younger sibling, already living through your sister and being in that environment already, and getting the firsthand experience from her? Now you get to live from her mistakes, right? I mean, not saying that she made a lot of mistakes, but I'm saying anything that she's learned, she's going to teach you. How was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, starting the fight journey, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to do it, but, you know, following in my sister's footsteps, and, you know, trying to figure out if I'm doing this for myself. But when I first started, I was just doing it to pretty much be a body for her, and there wasn't a lot of women in the sport. So having another girl with you makes it more comfortable, and, you know, doing something together and getting that bond, you know, is what started it. But then we started becoming really competitive with each other, and, you know, she wasn't letting me win for anything. And, you know, at one point she even said like, oh, you're never going to beat me. And that kind of set a fire in me. Like, I'm never going to beat you. Like, why would you say that? Yeah. I don't know if she was joking, but, you know, and being the little sister, I was like, you know, I got to work harder, because, you know, I'm smaller than her, and we would get into pretty intense sparring matches, and, you know, our coaches had to separate us at one point, and, you know, like, you're going to train there and you'll train there. But and then for a while, it's kind of, you know, got put on the sidelines. So I was, you know, just kind of working on my own and trying to figure out, like, do I really want to do this? Like, you know, I started training just because, you know, just being a partner, but, you know, changing my mindset, like, no, like, I'm not a partner. I need to train for myself now. And that's when I started to figure out, like, if this is important to me, like, I need to make myself better for me, and not, you know, for other people to, I guess, to use me, and you know, to make other people better. And it was a struggle, you know, because a lot of our practices, like me and my sister, we would physically be fighting, but, you know, after the sparring session's over, it's like, I'm still kind of angry because you're going hard on me. And, I was like, I don't know if it's because the camera was on or it's because, like I'm the little sister. And, a lot of embarrassing pictures, videos are out there, like her mounting me and, like trying to pretty much smother me. But part of that is what made me so tenacious and like not being willing to give up, just because I have all these, I guess I have all these, disadvantages.
Yeah.
Compared to the other person, like just keep trying. And then eventually, I started, tagging her a little bit more, and not just her, like other people in the gym. And I started to see myself grow, and, I started to get more attention from, like the other coaches. Like Darren pretty much took me under his wing, like, we're going to make you a badass MMA fighter. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, he didn't like say that, but with his actions, coaching me and I guess it was kind of difficult at first taking criticism, because when you're kind of on your own and you're trying to process what you're doing wrong, but when someone tells you you're doing something wrong, at first, I would take offense at it, like I'm not good enough, like I'm trying the best that I can, but it's not good enough. But that's just kind of like my own programming, growing up being a little sister, you're not doing enough, or you're gonna do what I say, stuff like that. So it's been a tough journey. I didn't have like the best guidance. I took a lot of tough fights that I probably shouldn't have, but it also taught me that I'm not made of glass, which is one of the things Darren would say when I would go into a fight, like, you're not made of glass. Yeah. So you can take a punch, you're gonna get hit. Like, okay, you're right. And then being able to overcome that, and like it didn't make my record the best, but it made me who I am, and being able to move forward from that.
And it's cool to hear coming from you, especially because our fight team, Strike Fitness, we've done 2 tournaments and 2 weekends, and all 3 of us lost. And it's like my sister hasn't come home yet, and it's kind of me. I'm a little bit older, so I could deal with losing pretty well, like failure pretty well. And my sister, she's in the beginning stages of it. Like, these are her first moments in life where she's failing. And it's cool to hear from somebody that's went through the whole journey and how well you deal with it. Failure is when you're first starting martial arts, you're gonna, right when you jump into the gym, you're gonna go get your butt kicked. Like, you're gonna be the nail every single time. And I don't know what I'm saying right now, but I'm just saying that I hope whoever's listening understands that martial arts is about failure and overcoming those failures and becoming a really good martial artist. And Darren, I don't think he gets enough credit on how well he other, like a casual fan. I'm talking about casual fans. They don't give him enough credit for being a coach that takes these Muay Thai fighters and transitions them into MMA. Like, how awesome of a coach was Darren? Like, that transition, like you're kind of blessed with a really good MMA coach.
Yeah, I mean, Darren has been amazing. Not just like turning Muay Thai fighters into MMA fighters, like Muay Thai fighters, like he understands, the fight mentality. Like, no matter if you're doing MMA or Muay Thai, like he's really good at being a coach for fighting. Like, he's just not just like the techniques, but your conditioning and being mentally prepared and putting us through these really tough workouts and situations. So you know that when you're in there and you're getting, I want to say, when you're getting that feeling of, exhaustion and tired, like you've been there, because we go through that all week at the gym. So he's really good with working with each individual fighter as their own person and not trying to make everyone the same. Like everyone's going to be different.
Yeah.
And he understands that, and he's really smart. So he's really good at just putting everything together, whether you're doing Muay Thai or MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know, Kung Fu.
Guns,
everything.
Life, everything.
Yeah.
But I asked everybody that comes onto the show so far, how has Muay Thai changed your life?
Wow. Muay Thai showed me that, pain, like it hurts. You can have adrenaline, but it's going to hurt. And being able to take that and, overcome it and do it again makes me a stronger person, not just for fighting, but, living life in every day.
Awesome. What's next, Stephanie? I know you had the UFC fight, but what's next after this?
I do have something in the books, but it's not signed yet, so I'm not able to say it, but soon I'll be able to, tell you guys what I'm going to be up to. So
can you say if it's going to be Muay Thai or MMA?
It will be MMA.
Awesome.
Hopefully some Muay Thai in the future this year, depending on how this other thing. So not looking too far in the future.
Awesome.
But going to be prepared for whatever is going to be there.
If there's anything else you want to say, or anything or where people could find you on Instagram or the internet, the stage is yours.
Okay, well, I'm part of a new team with the Resistance. So we're located in Pleasanton, and I like to thank, all my teammates that, show up every day and help me to become a better fighter, and, Darren for getting me physically and mentally prepared through this whole transition. And thank you, Jesse, for giving me this interview, helping me with my, I guess, talking.
And
I'm kind of a quiet person.
There's one thing I'll never forget, Stephanie, and I messaged you before that we went to a gym that was full of killers, right? And I think I'm pretty sure you were the only one, like my teammates, we all from Strike Fitness, we all went to a gym, and we kind of like got pushed away, like nobody really worked with the girls that were there, the younger kids and the young girls that were there. And you were the only one that made it a thing to go with everybody there, like even the younger girls that were there. And I'll never forget that. My sister came up to me, she told me that, and I'll never forget that, because that doesn't, there's fighters that was really good fighters, and then there's really good people. I think you're both, and I'll never forget that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was grown up being left out, so I can kind of see people around and, bring them in. And I'm always willing to work with anybody, any skill level. And, your girls are really tough. So I was really surprised by some of them. So I was like, oh, shoot, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But
where can people find you on Instagram, Stephanie?
Instagram is Stepha_Nini, KNEE. And I also have Facebook, but I don't use that much.
Yeah, nobody does.
It's like the Twitter. I have that too, but I don't use that either.
Yeah.
So far. Yeah.
But thank you again for doing this.
Okay,
Stephanie, guys, Steph scares the crap out of me. But I have Kendra Mcintyre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kendra Mcintyre, a gifted priestess.
Yes.
Yes, nice. And I fought with I fought on the same card Kendra fought on in the Stockton Knock Muay in 2019. 2020, and she head kicked a girl from the IFMA team, the USA team.
Controlling the clinch there.
High kick puts her out. Out cold. That's the fight. Out cold with the high kick. Yo, people are on their feet. No one saw that head kick.
And I'm barely finding out that you train Muay Thai. You don't train Muay Thai at a gym. Where you train Muay Thai basically in a garage.
Yeah.
So you like, I'm losing my mind right now because you knocked out a girl on the USA team, and you're not at an actual gym.
Well, I was at the time, but right now I'm
Okay. Got it. Okay. I thought you were just like underground fighting and just got in the ring and knocked this girl out.
No, not at all. I've been on the scene for a while.
That's where I first heard of you. And then I started looking you up after that fight, and I saw the fight with you and Yanit. That was an amazing fight. And Yanit's a girl from AKA that you guys had a beast of a fight. And then started following you on social media, and your social media presence is actually a really good follow if you guys want to follow her, Gifted Priestess. But how did you get into Muay Thai?
That's actually an unusual story. It's not normal. If you want to hear it.
Yeah.
So basically in high school, I was a soccer player. I made varsity as a freshman. I like to tell people that. But when I was a junior in high school, my stepdad got attacked and he was put into a coma. And at the time, like, I wasn't like religious. I believed in God, but I wasn't like, it was not something that praying and things like that's not something that I did. But because he was in a coma, I was like, oh my God, like I have to pray or this man is going to die.
Yeah.
So what I did was I was like, okay, for 20 minutes every day, I'm going to pray to God and contend for my stepdad's life. And I did it like religiously, like a discipline. So even though I didn't feel anything at first, and it just felt like I was praying to the ceiling, I was committed to doing that because I thought he would die if I didn't. So eventually, like months later, after I was again doing this religious act of praying for him, when I finished praying, I was like, oh my God, like I'm supposed to be a kickboxer. Like I'm going to be a world champion kickboxer. Like I'm supposed to be kickboxing. And then from there, I Googled kickboxing and then Muay Thai came up. Yeah, nobody told me anything.
You had no training, nothing.
No, I just had a conviction after praying, nothing to do with like fighting or what I should do in life. I was literally had nothing to do. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be a kickboxer. So like, what am I doing?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's not a normal story.
Yeah.
So then I Googled research kickboxing, and all that came up was Muay Thai. And it was just Muay Thai. And I was reading about Muay Thai, and then I started shopping around for gyms. And then my dad liked El Nino, so I went to El Nino. And when I did it, I felt like I had met my soulmate. Like I fell in love with the sport. It felt like a soulmate. Like I never, like, it's like falling in love. Like it's an intense feeling. And it's funny because I remember like at our first intro, the trainer would be like, oh, so why are you doing this? And in my head, it was like, I'm going to be world champion. But you can't say that because that's like so weird, right? So it's like, oh, trying to get fit.
Yeah.
Like,
it's pretty intense. Like just to walk into a gym, and because most people walk into a gym, most of the stories are like, I just want to get fit and I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
But I have heard your story where you went to Thailand and you you were in a bad, were you in a bad place when you went to Thailand? Something
Yeah,
that
like
happened.
I think that most of my fighting journey was actually really hard, and it wasn't as a kid, because I'm very young, remember, like I was in high school, there's this expectation that the trajectory to becoming world champion is quite linear. You show up, you get better, and you think it's linear, but I had some huge lows.
Yeah.
Huge lows over and over and over again, and they lasted forever. Like it took serious faith to be where I am right now.
It's funny because you're not even a professional Muay Thai fighter yet, and you're getting close. Are you?
I am now technically.
Wait, who'd you sign with?
I signed with Lion Fights.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be making your professional debut.
Correct.
Awesome. And how was it? How was it like your first Muay Thai fight with elbows, with knees, with kicks? How was that experience? Because a lot of people like they watch boxing, and you had the YouTube versus TikTok this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And and it's just like Muay Thai is like everything. It's elbows. It's so much different when you're getting punched in the face with kicks and elbows too at the same time. And
Yeah.
how was that experience? Like, did you still know you wanted to be a champion after going through your first fight without elbows?
Yeah. So like in America, like I fought with elbows but with the pads. So in Thailand, there's no pads and little gloves. I think after I had my first full rules Muay Thai fight, I felt I was like, oh my God, I love this. I felt so happy. I was like, this is so much fun. And I personally, like, I love training without gear or fighting without gear because I feel free. I feel like a bird. I can't, like, I don't accept fights that make me wear headgear because I guarantee you I will lose.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I can't do it.
But you also you're actually a college major. I mean, a college graduate, correct?
Yeah.
And I believe you're in computer science and
No, business.
business. Okay.
Yeah.
How was it like training, going to school? Like how difficult was that?
It was fucking difficult. It was.
Yeah.
I was going to like UC Berkeley. Like it was hard, and I was doing so bad in school, and I was doing bad at fighting. I was failing at both. So it was a shit show.
And what changed it? Like what decision?
Graduating? I mean, honestly, I had to stop doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
If I didn't sacrifice it, I was gonna flunk.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing Muay Thai and was like, okay, I need to focus on graduating. And when I graduate, I'll go to Thailand. And that's exactly what I did.
Who are your heroes in American Muay Thai? Who do you look up to?
I think that in terms of character and heart, probably nobody. But in terms of, okay, I like two people. I like Jackie Boutan because she's very humble. And I think we can all learn from something from her. She's very humble. So I really like that. I really like, in terms of purely skill, I really like Carrie Melendez. Like, she to me is one of the greatest female strikers of all time. So in terms of skill, I think she's the one. And then Jackie's humble. And then, yeah.
What like motivates you? Like, what's your motivation? Like, what gets you through those hard days or those hard fights? Like, what is it that motivates you through your whole career?
I think for me, fighting is very much tied with my faith. It's very much tied with God. And when I believe that this is God's destiny for me, this is his will for me, and this is how he uses me to just reach people, to inspire people. I think we're all given a destiny. I believe that God puts a destiny in each one of us. And it could be art, it could be science, it could be sports, it could be whatever. And through that, we're going to inspire and help and save so many people by doing what it is that we're called to do. And for me, like, preparing to fight Ashley Thiner was very intimidating, right? but I knew what that would do for my team in terms of morale and how that would inspire them, and how I knew that certain people were looking at me and that this would affect them emotionally. Like if they saw me win, this would do something for them. And that's really what motivated me. And I prayed so hard to God that he would give me the victory because I knew how it would affect the people that I loved.
That's awesome. That it's crazy because like you just have those moments, and I'm trying to think like when I first started this like doing podcasts and trying to do stuff on the internet, like I was laying in bed and just thinking, and then something just told me like grab a mic, start talking in it, and it's just you have those moments where something like, because I'm religious, but I'm not like, I haven't been heavily religious, right? If you would say. And I still believe there's something there. There's something there that guides us. And it's crazy because fighting is so religious. It's very, very religious.
Very spiritual, right?
Yeah. Like you can't be worldly and fight. You can't eat the bad foods. You can't be worldly. It's just like religion. And it's cool to see your religious background like come out. Like you're not afraid to just speak it. And I think that's a really good attribute of yours, I guess I would say. And so I'm going to ask you your last question, because I know that you're busy and that you probably got to go to sleep since it's so late already. But how has Muay Thai changed your life?
It is a really great question, because I remember like doing this journey, I've actually suffered so much, right? Like socially, like internally, externally. And I was like, what the hell? Like I could have avoided all of this if I just didn't do Muay Thai. But I realized that the person that I've become and the wisdom that I've attained was from all that suffering. Like Muay Thai literally made me a better person, even though I was like in the shittiest situations. Like every time I was in a shitty hole, like I came out better, just like Thailand. Like I was afraid of what other people thought about me. And through Muay Thai, I saw that and I overcame it, and I enjoyed the sport so much more. And that happens so much in terms of like jealousy, pride, every type of like, what is it? Like infirmity. Like I've had it. And it's like through pursuing Muay Thai, it keeps breaking off of me and I become better and better and better. So it has changed me.
Have you set up a fight yet? Have you guys like found an opponent for Lion Fight?
Well, found an opponent? I don't know, but I'm supposed to fight October 2021 in LA. That's what I'm told.
Okay. That's awesome. And there's a bunch of fights coming out that haven't been scheduled, and I can't wait for them to be announced. And to hear that you're going pro, I'm super excited about it, because that head kick KO, if people listening haven't seen it, you got to watch it, because it was like, even watching your face when you head kick, they have the camera on your face in the corner and your eyes are just like, did this really just happen? Like, and then they cut back to you, they cut back to her, and they cut back to you again, and you're like, God is good. God is good. And it was just an awesome thing to see. I can't wait to see you in the pros. And how do people get a hold of you for Instagram or anything you want to shout out?
I don't know. Just follow me on Instagram if you like me. It's Gifted Priestess.
Okay.
But that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this. I know it's new, but I'm trying to do this thing.
No, I'm honored that you'd actually have me on your show and like value the things I have to say. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Caia. I already forgot your last name.
Oh my gosh. Caia Knowles.
Caia Knowles. I saw Caia fight at the TVAs about 2 weeks ago, and I was really impressed. If you guys watched the last episode, I was interviewing Jason Park, and he was talking about Boxing Works, and I saw you guys' uniforms, and I saw Caia perform. It was an awesome performance. It was her first fight at the tournament, and you came forward with the tenacity. But the impressive thing about it was that you kept your distance the whole entire time. You hardly got hit.
I wouldn't say hardly got hit, but better than usual.
And how long have you been training?
So I first started like doing Muay Thai classes when I was 17, and took a little bit of a break when I started college, and then went back like middle of college, but didn't really start like sparring or training for fighting or anything like that until 2016. So 5 years, and then plus like maybe 2 years of, just hitting pads, hitting the bag.
When was your first moment when you knew you wanted to fight?
Oh, I feel like I wanted to fight like when I first started. You get in there and you're so excited, like hitting pads and stuff, that you're just like, oh, I could totally see myself like getting in the ring. But yeah, it definitely took a little bit of time from that moment until like when I did actually start training.
Yeah. And if people are not familiar with Boxing Works, you train around Janet Todd and Jackie Bouton,
yeah.
Bouton. And how is it being around those women and seeing them, how far they've gotten to the one championship, and seeing other women in the fight game just tear it up?
So inspirational. Like since the beginning, I started originally at Boxing Works, so I saw Janet and then Jackie fighting in the amateurs and stuff, and even then I was so blown away like by their dedication and hard work, and like their poise in the ring even, and then just seeing how far they both have gotten, fighting in IFMA, fighting internationally, and then now being in one championship is just like mind-blowing. It kind of shows you the path of like where you could end up if you just like stick with it and listen to your coach and everything like that.
Is Muay Thai a full-time thing for you, or are you doing other stuff on the side? You said you're going to college too, right?
So I graduated college since then.
Okay.
I work a full-time 9-to-5 job from home right now, which is really nice. And I work in the advertising agency, so completely different, just like sitting down, typing away.
You're in advertising. Do you bring that to your, I know it's fighting's a little different with promoting yourself. Like, do you bring that to your promotion of yourself for fighting?
So in advertising, I actually work in the finance department. So a little different. There have been times where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll make like a spreadsheet to like count my ticket sales and stuff like that. So that's maybe the only like transferable thing. But what's nice about my job is there's at least like some kind of flexibility. So they let me like train in the morning and then train in the evening as well. And then, I can still keep this thing going.
Do you see yourself fighting for one championship and going pro?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's definitely the goal. I want to follow in my teammates' footsteps for sure.
What is the farthest place that you fought before?
I think it is Iowa. That's my third time doing that tournament in Iowa. So I've been there a few times. And my first fight ever was actually in Iowa as well. So it was like my first fight. I was flying, what is it, like 3 hours or something?
Yeah. I think from California, it was like 6 hours.
Was it? Oh my gosh. I didn't realize. I was sleeping on the plane.
I always ask like people that I have on, how has Muay Thai changed your life?
In so many ways. A big thing that I like to give credit to Muay Thai is like a lot of the mental aspects. Because before training, fighting, all of that, I was somebody who was not very confident in myself. And through the years of like fighting and losing fights and then having to go back and readjust and then winning fights and then losing, like all the peaks and valleys, it kind of teaches you how to be more even keel with, your mental game. And I feel like it's really transferred in all of life, you know?
Yeah.
So definitely that.
Muay Thai. Jason Park had said the last episode, Muay Thai is life, and I took Muay Thai's life for upcoming like women fighters that want to get into it. What would you say to them if they're on the cusp of fighting or not fighting, like where they're right on the border? What would you tell them?
You do have to really want it. So if you're unsure, I'd say you could try, you know, like a smoker or maybe your first fight, but past that, like, you can't be unsure of yourself. And that's something that I learned personally. Like I said, the confidence issues and stuff. The first couple fights I was going in sort of unsure about myself still. And that didn't really lead to the best results. So making sure that, you know what you want and you have a plan set forth and like going for it, you know, that. And then for the woman specific thing, there's not much like difference. I think I would say that to a man too, who was on the cusp of, you know, either wanting to fight or not wanting to fight, just like being sure.
But I enjoy hobbies on Sundays, and I love to do whatever my mind takes me to. What are your hobbies other than Muay Thai?
Other than Muay Thai, I like drawing and painting, that kind of thing. I actually went to school for art, so sort of artistic. And it's been a little challenging trying to balance like training hours a day and then the 9 to 5. And then, you know, when you get home, you're just like, oh, I just want to go to sleep. But lately I've been reconnecting to that a lot more and doing more doodles, hopefully doing more bigger illustrations.
And why didn't you pursue the art?
That's a good question. You know, there was a point sometime during my college career that it just like I got super burnt out on it. And I was working at a studio, like doing art assisting. And that was pretty cool. But like doing all of that and then trying to get better at Muay Thai and trying to get more fights, it became a time thing and a priorities thing. I think I prioritized like training. So it's something that I definitely want to balance in more. Like you said, Sundays are a lot more free. So I'm hoping that maybe I could throw that in those days, but you know.
I have a teammate. She's actually a tattoo artist. And she's
cool.
An artist, and she actually wants to dive into animation too.
And yeah.
I believe Muay Thai is art. So I think you're just an artistic person. No matter what kind of art it is, you're going to find yourself doing art. And a lot of Muay Thai fighters are artists. I mean, look at Kevin Ross. Look at Kevin Ross. He's an awesome artist. And most of these people I meet on my journey are just either photographers, animators, like just, they always have something. And I think Muay Thai is a form of expression for all of us.
Yeah,
and
totally.
The way you express it is coming forward and beating the crap out of women. But it's awesome. I love your fighting style. It was awesome seeing you fight at the TVAs. Is there anything you also want to say or promote for yourself?
I just want to always give a shout out to the team. So Boxing Works.
Yay.
And then my conditioning coach, Speed of Sport too. I'm also Team Speed of Sport. Want to put that out there. And just, thank you for watching the fight and reaching out to me. That's so cool.
People find you on Instagram if they want to follow you.
Caia on Fire. So it's my name, Caia on Fire, Fiya. Sorry, spelling is a
And
Always love.
I'll tag you and everything. I'll link you and everything so people could find you. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing this again.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for having me.